Hay paraded her through alien markets, mocked, chained, and sold like decoration. They called her bikini bait, a cruel label for a brilliant mind trapped in a silken cage. But just when the crowd cheered for her next owner, a human stepped forward.
Not to buy her. Not to break her. But to fight. To burn it all down.
And to remind the galaxy that no one, alien or otherwise, deserves to be caged for being beautiful. The slave market on Delta Thurion 5 was more of a spectacle than a trade hub. Built on the bones of an old mining colony, it had grown into a black market bazaar of broken souls and blood money, where entire species were bought, sold, and discarded like worn-out cargo. Here, the richest warlords came not for weapons, but for trophies. And today's centerpiece was a spectacle of its own. The stage lights gleamed down on her, skin glistening under artificial suns, body bound in a shimmering two-piece designed more for humiliation than appeal. She didn't flinch under their stares anymore.
Not visibly.
But inside, something twisted every time they cheered. They called her bikini bait. Like that was her name. She had another one once.
Real. Gentle.
It meant moonflower in her mother's tongue.
But no one asked anymore. No one cared.
The auctioneer, a bloated Zarnthel, slammed his staff against the ground. Opening bid, 600,000 credits for the last living female of the Serioth line. High blood genetics, 0 mutations, obedience trained. Ideal for display, companionship, or exotic pleasure.
A murmur ran through the crowd. Paddles flicked up. Numbers flashed. She stood still. Chin raised. Shoulders back. They would not see her break. From the shadows of the crowd, someone moved, slow, careful, and far from the opulence around him. No jeweled robes. No chrome-plated guards. Just a human, dressed in a sand-worn coat and battered boots. A single holstered sidearm on his thigh. Reed Colburn didn't look like a bidder. He looked like a mistake.
The kind that could get you shot in places like this.
But he didn't blink. He didn't flinch.
He watched her with a kind of fire behind his eyes that she hadn't seen in years.
Not lust. Not hunger. Something else.
Something dangerous. He raised a finger. The auctioneer squinted.
You, human. New bidder.
Reed said nothing. Just flicked a single heavy coin onto the platform, a rare Federation medallion, encoded with off-world asylum credits.
A hush fell.
No one brought those here. You bid freedom, the auctioneer sneered. This is a slaver's stage, not a refugee camp.
I'm not buying her, Reed said, stepping forward.
I'm ending this.
The crowd laughed, at first.
Until Reed's hand went to his sidearm. Until his ship's AI, cloaked in the upper eaves, began jamming the market's comms. Until the first shot rang out, and it wasn't from the guards.
Chaos.
Screams tore through the pavilion as plasma fire exploded across the crowd. Reed moved like a ghost, weaving through stunned slavers, shooting only when needed, clean, precise, lethal. She ducked behind a post as one of the chains tethering her shattered from the blast.
Hey!
Reed shouted as he reached the stage.
Can you run? She blinked, stunned.
He was actually talking to her.
As a person. Yes, she rasped. Her voice cracked.
But I'm still locked. Reed knelt beside the podium and slammed a blade through the shackle pin.
It hissed, melted, popped free. She gasped.
You're freeing me? I'm not in the business of owning people, he said.
Name.
She stared at him, throat tight.
Kaya.
Well, Kaya, Reed said, tossing her a cloth coat, let's not die today.
They ran.
Out through the slave corridors, past half-conscious guards and flickering security drones. Reed's escape route wound through the old mines beneath the colony, a maze of tunnels and forgotten supply routes. Kaya stumbled more than once, her bare feet torn and blistered. Reed caught her every time without complaint.
They moved fast.
Too fast for the alarms to catch up. Still, Kaya couldn't stop looking back. You knew where to find me, she finally panted.
Why?
Reed didn't answer at first. Just kept running. Finally, he said, I saw the listing on a bounty board. Someone was offering a reward for your return. Said you escaped a research vault in the outer ring. The data didn't match. So I dug deeper. Turns out, you didn't escape. You were taken. By people who didn't care what they destroyed.
Kaya's chest tightened.
They killed my world.
I know.
They burst into the smuggler bay, where Reed's ship, the Sundagger, waited like a coiled beast. He slammed the ramp release.
Get inside.
We've got 5 minutes max before reinforcements swarm this place. Kaya paused at the bottom of the ramp. If you fly out of here with me, you'll be marked. Already am, Reed muttered, yanking her up the ramp. Let's make it worth it. Once inside, the ship roared to life. Reed strapped her into the co-pilot seat and barked into the comms. RIG jump drive?
Charging.
1 minute to spike threshold, the AI replied. Kaya stared out the window as the slaver patrols swarmed below, ships scrambling, alarms howling.
Why me? She whispered.
You could have taken the credits. Sold me back. No one would have blamed you. Reed looked over, his face half lit by cockpit glow. Because they called you bait, like your only worth was what others could take.
He leaned back.
But I saw the way you stood up there.
Head high.
Eyes burning. You weren't anyone's bait. Kaya swallowed hard, her voice trembling. Then what am I? Reed smiled, just a little.
You're Kaya.
And you're free.
The jump drive flared.
Stars bent around them.
And in a blink, they were gone.
The Sundagger drifted silently through the outer rim of the Curious Belt, hidden in the electromagnetic shadow of a gas giant. Inside the ship, Kaya sat on the edge of the medbay bed, her feet bandaged, arms trembling with a freedom she still hadn't learned how to hold. Reed worked silently across from her, sorting medpacks and scanning for traces of tracking nanites. His coat was draped over the back of a chair, plasma burns seared through one sleeve. He hadn't said much since the jump. Just worked.
Steady. Calm.
Like a man used to doing the right thing even when no one asked him to. Finally, Kaya broke the silence. They'll come after me. Reed glanced up.
I know.
The Zarnthel cartel doesn't lose assets.
I was a display item. A novelty.
A high-value relic of a dead world.
Her voice twisted.
They'll burn 10 colonies to find me. Then we stay ahead of them, Reed said, as if that were as easy as breathing. Kaya's eyes narrowed. Why? Why are you still helping me? Reed turned, his face quiet but fierce. Because someone should have helped you a long time ago. Because this galaxy thinks beautiful means owned. Because every time they put a collar on someone like you, they tell the rest of us to look the other way. Kaya said nothing.
But her breath caught.
And for a moment, she didn't feel like bikini bait anymore.
She felt like someone.
In the days that followed, Kaya learned to navigate freedom the way someone learns to walk again after being broken. She explored the ship.
Small, efficient.
Built for survival, not luxury. Yet it felt more like home than the velvet cages she'd been locked in. She slept without chains. She ate without asking. She dressed in actual clothing, not costumes.
Reed never stared. Never pressed. He gave her space. And when she asked to help, he taught her.
How do you fix a grav stabilizer? She asked one morning. Reed handed her a hydrospanner.
Like this. And with patience. She smiled.
For the first time in years, it reached her eyes. But peace was a borrowed thing. 2 weeks after the escape, the first bounty signal hit the system net. Wanted, Kaya of Seriath. Dead or alive, 3 million credits. The transmission repeated across black channels. Slaver guilds.
Merc networks.
Even some corrupt peacekeeper units.
They were coming.
And they weren't coming to negotiate.
Reed paced the cockpit, his jaw tight. We've got a choice.
Kaya stood beside him, watching the data cascade across the holoscreen.
Run again. Could.
But not forever. She looked at the galaxy map, so big, so indifferent. So what, we hide until they forget I exist.
They won't forget, he said.
Not until you stop being a symbol.
Kaya turned.
A symbol of what?
Defiance, Reed replied.
They dressed you like a toy. But the moment you broke free, you became a problem. Proof that their system isn't perfect. That slaves can rise. Kaya lowered her eyes. I'm not a fighter. You stood on that stage like a queen, Reed said. You didn't need a weapon to shake the whole damn auction. She smiled faintly. You really think that scared them? I know it did. The next morning, Reed plotted a course, not away from the cartel's territory, but straight toward its border.
Kaya frowned.
We're heading in? To the relay hub at Vexus Drift, Reed explained. They store black market auctions, movement records, and trader manifests. If we can download the evidence of what they did to you, how they paraded prisoners like cattle, we can expose it. No one will believe it. They'll believe the footage. Especially when we show them what they did to a peaceful species. A species they wiped out and sold like decor.
Kaya felt her chest tighten.
If we do this, she said, we'll paint a target on both our backs.
Reed looked at her, steady. Then let them aim.
Vexus Drift was a fortress disguised as a trade station. Floating in a dead orbit over a collapsed star, it housed thousands of records, weapons caches, and corrupt officials under one flickering dome. They slipped inside posing as scavengers, Reed in a rusted uniform, Kaya cloaked in a long hood that hid her silver skin and lavender markings. But her eyes still glowed. Reed led her through security, past thugs and data brokers, toward the Cornet vault beneath the server towers.
Keep close, he murmured.
We'll have 2 minutes once I breach the lock.
Kaya nodded.
Her fingers shook, but not from fear.
From purpose.
Inside the vault, the air was ice cold, buzzing with static. Reed hacked the mainframe while Kaya accessed the slave registry. Her own picture appeared, catalogued, tagged, priced.
She scrolled faster. Other faces. Other species. Thousands of them. Children. Elders. Artists. Scientists. All sold like livestock. Kaya's hands trembled. We have to send this to the Federated Corps. We will, Reed said.
We just have to.
Alarms blared. They'd been spotted.
Time's up, he growled, yanking the drive and grabbing her arm.
Let's move.
They sprinted through service corridors as sirens howled across the station. Slavers and guards poured in from every side. Kaya tore off the cloak, her markings blazing in the light. Reed, we won't make it. Yes, we will. He hurled a detonator behind them, blowing out the ceiling tiles and triggering a power surge. They burst into the docking bay, and found a wall of mercs blocking the Sundagger. At their front stood a Zarnthel enforcer, claws twitching.
You'll give her to us, human. No martyr speech. No gunfight.
Just surrender.
Reed stepped forward. Calm.
Angry.
You want her.
He tossed the drive into Kaya's hands.
Come get her.
The firefight erupted. Blaster bolts screamed. Reed moved like a fury, spinning, dodging, returning fire with brutal precision. Kaya ducked behind cargo crates, shielding the drive with her body.
One merc charged her, blade drawn.
She spun, grabbed a metal pipe, and slammed it into his chest.
He crumpled. She blinked, stunned.
She just fought back.
For real. Not as a symbol. Not as bait. As Kaya.
Reed staggered as a bolt caught his side.
Reed, she cried.
I'm fine, he grunted, blood staining his coat. Get to the ship. They fought their way to the ramp. Reed hit the lock. The Sundagger roared to life. As they rose into orbit, the station below erupted in chaos. Kaya slammed the drive into the uplink. Sending the files now, every auction, every sale, every atrocity. Reed clutched his side, smiling through pain. Give the galaxy a reason to remember you, Kaya. She looked at him, eyes fierce.
I will.
The files hit the Federation net like a nova. Images flooded the core systems, alien dignitaries chained, prisoners tortured, entire races profiled and sold. The footage of Kaya, half-naked, silent, staring down a crowd, became the face of a revolution. Her real name spread. Kaya of Seriath. Survivor.
Speaker. Flame.
Sanctions fell. Cartel strongholds burned. The term bikini bait became a scarlet mark of shame, a phrase slavers no longer dared speak in public. And the girl they tried to erase became something more than a symbol. She became a story. One whispered across colonies and stations and prisons. They tried to sell her. A human set her free. Months later, Kaya stood on a platform in the central hub of Terra Nova, clothed in full ambassadorial robes, with her markings proud and bare. Around her stood envoys from hundreds of species, all waiting to hear her speak. She stepped forward, voice clear. I was not born to be owned. I was not raised to be stared at.
But I was chained. I was displayed.
I was made into something I never chose to be. And then, one man looked past all of it and saw a person. She turned toward the crowd. There are others like me.
Still trapped. Still waiting.
Let me be the last one who had to be rescued. Let me be the start of something better. The chamber erupted in applause. Later, aboard the Sundagger, Reed sipped quietly from a thermos while Kaya sat beside him. You never told me, she said softly.
Told you what?
Why you really came for me.
Reed looked at her.
The lights of orbit shimmered through the viewport. Because someone once rescued me.
Not with guns. Not with glory.
Just by refusing to let me stay small.
He turned to her.
I figured it was time I did the same.
Kaya smiled.
You didn't just rescue me, Reed. You rewrote me.
No, he said.
You did that yourself.